Hey, what the heck are you going to do about this? You've got my computer infected with a virus because of you. Being yelled at by my unreasonable boss, I couldn't talk back and just waited for time to pass. Then, it happened. I'm going to have to cancel the $500,000 car I had asked you to order before. A quiet firm voice echoed in the showroom. I recognized the man who said this to my boss. He was an elderly man I had seen before, collapsed from heat stroke at a crossroads. You are off my case right now. The elderly man declared this. My boss's lips trembled. Little did he know that this incident would lead to a downward spiral in his life. I'm Matthew, a 28-year-old car life advisor working at a well-known luxury foreign car dealership that everyone knows. As a child living in the countryside, I used to admire the coolness and rare retro style of the classic cars I saw while walking to school. Around the same time, after watching a European car action movie, I got excited about the various cars' designs, speed, and the coolness of the actors driving them, and dreamed of driving cars just as coolly one day. Since then, I've been hooked on cars, secretly researching various classic and new car models on my home computer, eventually developing a particular interest in European cars. Initially, I just wanted to ride and drive them, but gradually my dream evolved into wanting to work surrounded by such cool cars. After graduating from college, my dream came true when I got a job at the American headquarters of a European car manufacturer. After a few years at a dealership in New York, my passion led to excellent performance. This time, I was set to transfer to a branch in a regional area for the first time. Tough break. When my transfer was announced, a senior had said this to me. Bad luck. You're being transferred, right? Yes. Have you heard about that branch? No. What about it? The branch I was transferring to was among the top in sales in the region. It's clear that the types of cars sold and their frequency differ between New York and regional areas. While working at my current store, it's possible that my performance might drop, but is it really as bad as being called unlucky? As I pondered, my senior leaned in, looking uneasy. The branch itself is fine. It's just that the branch manager seems to be a difficult person. The branch manager. Apparently, there have been various problems, and new employees quit quickly due to this, leading to constant understaffing. Your transfer might be to fill in for a veteran employee who just left. I see. Turnover is high, and upper management knows it. But since the sales are good, they turn a blind eye. It seems unlikely the branch manager will be transferred anytime soon. Be careful. Thanks, I appreciate it. With a vague sense of unease, I prepared for my move from the headquarters to the regional branch. My name is Matthew. I'm looking forward to working with you all. On my first day of transfer, during the morning meeting where I was introduced, I sensed a somewhat cold atmosphere. The staff did applaud, but it felt mechanical, lacking warmth. Having come from the headquarters and knowing what my senior had told me, I was somewhat prepared, but it didn't feel like a warm welcome from anyone, not just the branch manager. The notorious branch manager was named Ken, and soon enough, I was to learn the truth behind the rumors I had heard from my senior. I'll be out for sales visits now. Take care of the rest. Yes. What's with that look? Got a problem? No, nothing at all. Ken, intimidating one of the staff members, glanced around and smirked before leaving the showroom. When Ken's car was out of sight, I approached a staff member sitting at the neighboring desk. Excuse me. Yes. Where did Ken go? Is there really sales visits? Oh, if you're going to work here, you shouldn't get involved in that. Ken just went to slack off. Slack off? Yes, it's usual for him. He dumps his work on his junior colleagues and is probably napping in some parking lot by now. He'll be back soon, though. Hearing this resigned sigh, I was at a loss for words. Is that really allowed? I didn't get any more details, but when I asked other staff members, I got similar responses. Apparently, Ken has been doing this for years, piling work on his junior colleagues while he slacks off. He usually returns around noon with a refreshed look, as usual. True to their words, Ken returned around 1 p.m. His face did indeed look refreshed. "Back already, Ken?" "Yeah. Did you finish what I asked?" "It's done, right?" "Sorry, it's not done yet." When one staff member apologized, Ken's smirking face turned angry. "Not done yet? Are you kidding me?" He suddenly raised his eyebrows and started yelling. "I'm so sorry. I'll finish it right away." "Geez, you're too slow. Think about efficiency. You were probably doing unnecessary stuff." Ken, hitting the desk with documents, intimidated the staff member completely. Tired of yelling, Ken looked around. And inevitably, our eyes met. Feeling a chill at his smirk, I casually looked away, but it was too late. I later learned that I was the only one who had looked up at that moment. Ken walked briskly towards me. "How's the progress on the task I asked you about this morning?" he asked. "Yes, it's already done." I handed over the compiled data, which he took carelessly and skimmed on the spot. Then, laughing through his nose, he said, "As expected of the elite from the headquarters, your work quality and speed are different, huh?" Sarcastically, he returned to his desk. I am not sure he disliked that or not, but I soon became a target for Ken. Initially, I only took care of my own tasks, finishing them before Ken returned, but gradually he seemed to dislike that and started piling more work on me. Naturally, it was an amount of work that couldn't be finished just in the morning, and I was unable to complete it all, leading to days of being yelled at and pointed out. I knew I was being used as an outlet for stress. The other staff members didn't help me since they were not targeted while I was, and they even stopped making eye contact with me. No wonder newbies don't thrive in such an environment, and it wouldn't be surprising if someone quit at any time. But as just an employee, there was nothing I could do but bear the brunt of this injustice. One day, on my day off today, I was taking a walk in the neighborhood for a change of pace. The country air reminded me of my childhood, bringing a sense of nostalgia. The smell of the wind, the sound of the trees swaying. Being healed by the atmosphere I couldn't feel in the city, I enjoyed the scenery. But it was really hot today. Wiping the sweat that was beading, I thought about getting an iced coffee and bought one from a vending machine. That's when my cell phone rang, and with a heavy feeling of foreboding, I looked at the screen. As expected, it was Ken calling. Ken often called me, regardless of whether it was my day off or not. It could be a summons or snide remarks about the previous day's work. My days off didn't feel like days off anymore, and it was starting to get tough for me. Sighing at the call, knowing I had to answer quickly to avoid being yelled at, I reluctantly tapped the answer button and put the phone to my ear. "You are slow. Answer within 3 rings when I call." As expected, Ken made another unreasonable demand. While thinking that was too much, I bit back my words. "I'm sorry. What can I do for you? Just get over here right now." But Ken just said that and hung up. "Come over right now." An involuntary sigh escaped me. I knew it would be for some unreasonable reason, but if I didn't go, I'd just get yelled at more when I went to work tomorrow. I guess I have no choice but to go. Resignedly, I started walking towards the workplace and reached an intersection. There, I saw an elderly man walking unsteadily, clearly in bad shape. "Are you okay?" I blurted out and rushed over, just as the old man seemed to lose consciousness and was about to fall. I managed to catch him just in time, supporting his body desperately. Sir, can you hear me?" The old man's body was burning hot, yet he wasn't sweating at all. It was heat stroke. I needed to get him somewhere cool. Looking around, I found a bench in the shade of a tree and took him there. I only have the iced coffee I just bought, but it's better than nothing. I removed one layer of the old man's clothing and pressed a can of iced coffee against his neck. I really wanted to give him water, but there were no vending machines or convenience stores nearby. And I couldn't leave the old man alone to go buy something. Hello, emergency services, yes. An old man seems to have heat stroke and is about to collapse. He's barely conscious, and I'm cooling him down with a can of iced coffee now. Yes, yes, understood. Please hurry. Having called an ambulance, I continued talking to the old man. The ambulance is coming. Don't worry, you'll be okay. Please come quickly. While I was panicking about what to do next, I heard a voice. Oh, what's happening here? A lady who happened to pass by spoke to me. Isn't that you, Thomas? What's going on? Do you know this gentleman? Yes, yes. Is it heat stroke? Have you called an ambulance? We're waiting for it now. I really wanted to give him some water, but this is all I have. I have some iced tea with me. Let's try giving him that for now. Is that okay? Of course, and I'll contact Thomas's family as well. Thank you so much. The lady quickly contacted the old man's family, and in the meantime, I gave him the iced tea she had handed me. I'll let the family know as well. The ambulance will be here soon. Let's stay strong. As she encouraged him, the old man nodded a few times, though his consciousness was still hazy. A few minutes later, the ambulance arrived safely. I handed over the situation to the paramedics, thanked the lady, and then rushed off to work. By the time I arrived at work, it had been over 30 minutes since Ken's call. You're late. What time do you think it is? As expected, Ken yelled at me furiously, making me jump. No matter how much I explained that I couldn't leave the old man, I knew Ken wouldn't listen, so I just let his yelling go in one ear and out the other. The reason Ken called me turned out to be trivial. He said something was wrong with his computer and wanted me to fix it. The issue was basic, so I couldn't help but think how he could manage as a branch manager with such trivial complaints. You can go home now, he said. Wanting to leave as soon as possible, I left the workplace without saying a word. Worried about the old man, I didn't go straight home but instead went to the lady's house to ask about him. Fortunately, he was safe, which relieved me. Although I was appalled by Ken's attitude, being able to help someone left me feeling somewhat refreshed as I went to sleep that night. Dreading another day of Ken's yelling, I went to work the next day only to find the workplace in an uproar. What's going on? Matthew, it's serious. Something's wrong with Ken's computer. His computer. Ken was yelling all over the place, and all the staff were at their wits' end. Amidst this, Ken spotted me arriving and rushed over. Hey, Matthew. Yes. What are you going to do about this? Your fault, my computer got infected with a virus. What do you mean? Don't play dumb. You did something yesterday. I didn't do anything. Liar. How are you going to fix this? As I delved into the details, it seems that after I left yesterday, Ken opened an email that had arrived on his computer. However, that email contained a virus that infected the computer upon being opened. As a result, Ken's computer got infected and stopped working. Ken was making a big fuss, blaming me because I had touched his computer the day before. Of course, I had no recollection of this, and what he had asked me was just basic operations. I hadn't even opened his mailbox, let alone sent him any mail. Everyone, including me, was just dumbfounded by his unreasonable behavior. But Ken's anger didn't subside, and his so-called lecture, more like baseless accusations, went on for a long time. It continued even past the opening time of the store, and he was yelling so much that some customers got scared and left. Something had to be done. But there was no stopping Ken's momentum. When I was at a loss, the store's door opened and two men entered. Ken, who had glanced at them, suddenly stopped yelling at me and approached the two men, fawning over them. It's been a while. We've been waiting for you. However, ignoring Ken's greeting, the two men came to me. Matthew, thank you so much for yesterday. Thought it was the old man I had helped the previous day. I've been worried. Are you okay? Yes. Thanks to your first aid, I was told by the doctors at the hospital that I could be discharged soon. I came today to express my gratitude. No need to thank me. I'm just glad to see you're doing well. The young man accompanying the old man appeared to be his secretary. It turned out that the old man, a chairman of a large corporation, had been a customer of our dealership for a long time, both personally and corporately, favoring our brand. I'm truly grateful that you helped an old man like me. In return, though I hesitate to call it that, I'd like you to handle my personal and company affairs from now on. Me, really? Yes. I was moved by your actions yesterday. Your continuous care gave me strength. I would trust you, Thomas said with a smile. But hearing his company's name, I realized he was a prestigious client traditionally managed by branch managers. I, a newcomer, couldn't possibly take on such a responsibility. Ken, seeming to think the same, hurriedly intervened. Excuse me, sir, but this man is a newcomer from the headquarters. He can't be trusted. A newcomer? Yes. He might have some grudge against me. Today he even broke my computer. I was just lecturing him about it. A newcomer? Huh, that sounds more like you, Ken. I've known Matthew since he was a child. What? And I can't trust you anymore, Ken. You're yelling earlier. It was yours, wasn't it? I heard it all the way outside. That's not all. You've been late for scheduled times and changed the estimated costs and actual labor charges. You even replaced parts with new ones without asking and charged me a high price. I had to tolerate you because of the long-standing favor to you, but I felt like my precious cars were being held hostage. That is, Ken, it's not just your recent behavior towards Matthew, but I can no longer trust someone like you. The $500,000 car I previously ordered from you, I'm canceling it. What? Who knows what you might overcharge me this time? From now on, I want Matthew to handle my affairs. Step down from handling my account. Ken, clearly taken aback, fell silent. Sorry for barging in. You seemed busy. No, it was actually a relief. Thank you. After that, Ken left hurriedly, and I sat down with Mr. Thomas and his secretary. You said, you have known me since I was a child. This region was actually my hometown. But I had no memory of meeting someone as important as Mr. Thomas. His earlier words intrigued me. Forgot, have you? You used to come every day to admire my car, calling it cool. This revelation astonished me. Remember now. Are you that guy? Mr. Thomas was the owner of the classic car that inspired me to enter this world. Yes, I couldn't forget you. No other child showed such enthusiasm for my car. I'm sorry for bothering you back then. No, I was happy. Remember when you fell and cried on the roadside, and I happened to pass by? I drove you home in that car. Yes, I remember. You're remembering all that is amazing. Of course, I can forget your smile, being so happy just to ride in the car. I promised to take you for a ride again, but couldn't fulfill it due to being busy. Please don't worry about it. The fact that you let me ride in your car back then was a truly precious moment for me. That car was my starting point. It's the reason I wanted to get into this job. When I heard about the transfer from the headquarters to my hometown, I accepted immediately, hoping I might see that classic car again. I wanted to thank you for that time, but I was so focused on the cars that I honestly didn't remember your name and had no leads. But to meet you again like this, I never imagined it. It feels like a dream come true, and I'm so happy. Before I knew it, I was passionately speaking with tears of joy, and Thomas listened happily. Actually, I've been maintaining that car from back then. I still drive it to this day. Is that so? You should come and see it again. And to think, that boy from back then has grown up so well. It sure makes me feel my age." Mr. Thomas smiled deeply with a sense of nostalgia. Then, his secretary spoke up. "Sir, it's almost time." "Ah, yes, Matthew, I'm sorry to rush, but I need to ask for your help with my car's maintenance." "Ah, yes, I'll check with the mechanics right away. Please wait a moment." I quickly confirmed with the mechanics and took the keys from Thomas. After handing over to the mechanics, the secretary came outside and spoke to me. "Matthew, it's been a while. Don't you remember? We went to the same middle school. I'm Keith." "Keith, from the basketball team. Are you that Keith?" "Yeah." The secretary was Keith, my senior from the basketball club during middle school. Back then, he was known as a bit of a troublemaker, but now he looked like a successful businessman in his suit, which surprised me. I probably wouldn't have recognized him if he hadn't said anything. Actually, it was me who sent that email to Ken's computer. "What? I knew you had returned to your hometown. News spreads fast in the countryside. I knew Ken had been targeting you, so I wanted to get back at him. I sent the email just as Thomas was about to visit. He was so happy talking about how you helped him yesterday, so I carried out the plan thinking Mr. Thomas would surely help you. I'm sorry for using you like that." I was left speechless. It seemed I had been dancing on Keith's strings the whole time. Of course, Mr. Thomas doesn't know any of this, and his feeling unwell yesterday was genuine. I'm grateful you helped him. Thank you, truly. No, don't mention it. You must have been surprised when you came to work today, but don't worry, the virus was only meant to startle. It won't cause any real damage. It should be back to normal soon. I didn't intend to cause any harm to the company. Indeed, it was only Ken's computer that had been affected by the virus. Ken, thinking his computer was ruined, would surely be red-faced if he knew the truth. I shouldn't be proud of it, but after all the trouble he caused, Mr. Thomas was also quite relieved. Keith's mischievous grin sent a chill down my spine. "You haven't changed at all, Keith." "Is that so? Well, I've always been this kind of person." "Haha, I definitely don't want to make an enemy of you, Keith." "I'll take that as a compliment." Keith was always smart and loved pranks. I remember when our club coach unjustly scolded us and Keith ran off with his wig, leaving us all to face the consequences, but everyone felt better afterward. I've already informed the headquarters about Ken, so don't worry. We're working with our lawyer to refund the overcharges Ken made to Thomas. His future looks pretty bleak now. Seeing his cunning smile, I vowed never to cross Keith. Later, I learned that the good sales at our dealership were largely due to Thomas's purchases of personal and company cars. Ken losing Thomas as a client meant losing everything for him. Mr. Thomas told me he had no choice but to continue dealing with us because there were no other dealerships nearby, and he particularly liked our brand's safety and design. Especially that classic car he first let me ride in. He bought it with his first earnings and had a strong attachment to it. He was pleased to have someone admire it as cool and to have such a significant impact on that person's life. 2 years later, I was working as the branch manager of that dealership. Ken had quietly resigned at some point. "Do you want to know what happened to Ken after that?" Keith asked me, but I shook my head, not wanting any more involvement. Even though I was still new as a store manager, I felt that the dealership, which had been listless under Ken, was beginning to come alive again. "I'm counting on you." Receiving such encouraging words from customers who visit the store fills me with joy. Mr. Thomas has been coming every 3 months since then to maintain that classic car. Being able to see the cool car that inspired me to pursue this career again makes my work days more fulfilling. One day, Mr. Thomas invited me for a drive. The thought of riding in that classic car again makes my heart race, almost to the point of tears. Remembering me as a child, caring about a small promise made so long ago, placing trust and expectations in someone like me. All of these are blessings, things I shouldn't take for granted. I want to keep working diligently and sincerely to repay this kindness. As I step into the car that was my starting point, I make a vow in my heart.